Good day and welcome to our discussion on cyclones as an educational presentation for the subject DRRR. So before getting into further explanation on what cyclones are, let us first know hazards and its concept. So what is hazard? Hazard is a situation where it has the capacity to bring damages to lives, properties, and the environment. In short, a hazard is something that potentially brings harm to the people and the ecosystem. But it is important to take note that the hazard will only become a hazard if it threatens man and the environment. So to further prove this point, according to the United Nations International Strategy for Disaster Reduction or UNISDR 2004, hazard is a potentially damaging physical event, phenomenon, or human activity that may cause the loss of life or injury, property damage, social and economic disruption, or environmental degradation. Here are the types of hazard warnings. We have tsunami warning sign, avalanche warning sign, tornado warning sign, landslide warning sign, and earthquake warning sign. So for the type of hazards, it is classified into three, which are the natural, human-made, or combination of both. Natural hazard. These are the volcanic eruption and earthquake, as an example. Human-made hazard. These are the civil conflict, chemical contamination, fire, and environmental degradation. And one of the recent example of civil conflict is the ongoing Ukraine and Russia war. So next is the combination or socio-natural hazard. In this, flooding and drought falls under this if it is due to deforestation, while typhoons can also fall under this if it causes flash floods, mudslides, and etc.
So, good day everyone. I am expected to explain or discuss what is a cyclone. Cyclones are just ocean storms. In layman's terms, these are storms that occur on a huge body of water, notably the ocean. Also, cyclones are just a natural phenomena that have existed since the beginning of our time. However, few people are aware of its causes, even if they are aware of its consequences. The water spins around a low pressure spot known as the eye in technical terms. This called eye of the storm lies exactly at the center of these storms, while the outlying regions of the spinning storm produce massive wind and rainfall. Cyclones are caused by the continual rising of hot air and the filling of the gap with the cool air from the surrounding area. Cyclones are most common in both the hemispheres, middle and high latitude belts. Cyclones are dispersed in a very regular fashion across various longitudes in the southern hemisphere since the oceans cover the majority of the terrestrial area. They originate at latitudes of 30 degrees to 40 degrees south and migrate in the generally southeasterly direction, reaching maturity at approximately 60 degrees. The situation in the northern hemisphere is substantially different. There, continental land masses span from the equator to the Arctic, and massive mountain belts interfere with the mid-latitude air currents, causing major differences in the occurrence of cyclones and anticyclones. Certain routes are favorable to wind systems. Certain pathways are preferred by wind systems. And the primary barriers on continental coastlines, which the term cyclone is often used colloquially to describe much smaller rotating events such as tornadoes and dust devils, which can rotate in an anticyclonic direction. While the consequences of cyclones are obvious, but the causes are probably not. Notably, cyclones are frequently named based on their location of origin and, as a result, are typically named in a variety of ways in different places. For example, similar occurrences that occur in the Atlantic or Pacific Oceans are commonly referred to as hurricanes. However, when these occur in the Northwest Pacific, they are commonly referred to as typhoons. First, saying that they will occur in places of lower atmospheric pressure. Typically, cyclones strike locations near the equator, and then the next will be the rise of warm air above the ocean surface, which is what generates a cyclone. And when the warm air rises, the cool air from the surrounding area rushes into this space. And then after that, the cool air warms and rises again in the atmosphere. And so, this procedure will be repeated indefinitely. And then, a quick rise causes an eye-like structure to emerge in the center. And as you can notice, high pressure wind constantly fills the low pressure area. And as a result of cyclones' high wind and rainfall, it frequently causes property damage and loss of life in the areas where it hits. While the cyclone's greatest distinguished trait is its tremendously rapid winds. Cyclones, like tornadoes, generate whirling conical formations, and again, as a result, their destructive potential is enormous. Cyclonic winds can pick up entire automobiles, trees, huge containers, and other objects and toss them through the air with a little effort. And for our coastal communities that are vulnerable to cyclones are constantly on high alert for any indication of cyclone formation so that inhabitants can be evacuated as soon as possible. And also remember that it is important to realize that the effects of cyclones can be devastating, causing both life and property loss. These are frequently to blame for the flash floods generated by the intense rainfall that follows them. For the starters, tropical cyclones typically create a surge in ocean waters, causing a sea level to increase by more than the normal. These surges are also known as the tidal waves. These tidal waves can run humans and animals and are frequently the deadliest part of a cyclone. Cyclones can also deliver torrential rains, which can cause flooding, while overflowing waters, whatever their origin, can cause damage to coastal buildings and infrastructure. While furthermore, they can devastate vegetation and spill into estuaries, causing harm to the plant and animal groups that exist there. And that would be all for the discussion of what is a cyclone. Thank you.
As we all know, cyclones are one of the common hydrometeorological hazards. So here are some examples of cyclones. First, we have Cyclone Nargis in Myanmar. On May 2, 2008, Cyclone Nargis made a landfall in Myanmar, across the southern region for 2 days. It has devastated Ayeyarwady Delta region. It has also affected 2.4 million people. 84,500 died, while 53,800 went missing. Second, we have Cyclone Gaja in India. On November 16, 2018, Cyclone Gaja made a landfall in Vedaranyam, Tamil Nadu in India. During its landfall, 100 to 123 kilometers per hour speed was recorded. Its highest sustained speed was recorded in Adarimpatinam at 165 kilometers per hour and 160 kilometers per hour at Matupet. It has affected 8 districts.
Good day, I'm John Kenneth Achor from 12 Princeton STEM Strand, and today I will be presenting some examples of cyclones. Number 3, Cyclone-02B, Bangladesh 1991. The Bangladesh cyclone of 1991. It made a landfall in the southern eastern coastal region of Chittagong on April 29, 1991. It killed more than 135,000 people and displaced 10 million people. It also devastated the country's crop. It resulted more than 1.5 billion in damages. Number 4, Kuringa cyclone, India 1939. The port city of Kuringa was struck on November 25, 1939. It brought heavy winds and produced a 40-foot storm surge. It killed 300,000 people and destroyed 20,000 ships. Kuringa has never fully recovered.
I'm Martin Magana, and I will state things about the things we should do before a cyclone hits your area. First, have a plan for a possible evacuation. As much as possible, be ready every day for possible disaster or threats to your community environment, such as natural disasters such as typhoons, cyclones, and so forth and so on. So the thing here is have a plan for a possible evacuation. The things that you should bring for evacuation: where to go, when to go, and how to go. You should consider these things for your evacuation plan, should I say. Second, check the house for a possible fortification or possible fortifications, such as the roof if it has holes, if it's not intact, or the bolts around the house. If it's intact, check for possible fortifications. The ceilings, if it's intact, the walls, or even the appliances around your house, or even the furnitures. Okay, so check for possible fortifications. Third, prepare supplies for necessities. Sorry for the typographical error. So for this, we should prepare food, that is necessary for everyday living, clothes, tent if possible, blankets, pillows, and radio, toiletries, and all the things necessary for the cyclone or for preparing for the cyclone or everyday living itself. Fourth, keep informed about the arrival of the cyclone and the cyclone itself. We can be informed through the internet, the radio, the TV, or even the newspaper, should I say. This is essential for us to know the strength of the cyclone that might hit the area, the strength of this cyclone, and the possible damages that it might cause the people, or that it might the possibilities of this cyclone itself. So fourth, keep informed about the arrival of the cyclone and the cyclone itself. And again, I'm Martin Magana, and I presented the things that we should do before a cyclone.
Here's what you should do during a cyclone. I'll present 3 steps to protection that in case of the event a cyclone will happen, you will be protected. First step, stay inside a firm house. You should lock all doors and keep away from any glass or glass windows. Any objects that may harm you will be swept up during the wind. The windows may shatter and cut you. Here's what you should do to stay in a firm house. Stay away from any and all types of glass or glass windows. Here, mine is covered by a curtain and secured down by my bed. 2. Prepare your house. Make sure that any loose objects that may fly around the storm are tied down or firmed. Here's what you should do to prepare your house in case of a cyclone. Remove any loose objects around your area. For any heavy objects, it is recommended that you tie them down. Also, turn off any systems inside your house, which includes electricity, gas, and water, as water can conduct electricity in case of a storm. And lastly, be informed. Be alert with any information given by the government or any kind of news website or source. And lastly, keep informed. Now that your electricity is turned off, you will be needing this. This is a battery-powered radio. You will be able to listen to any radio signals, like the government's announcements, through this. And because it's battery-powered, it does not require any plugins from electricity.